She slammed her Lexus into my father's old tractor and then screamed into her phone that I had attacked her with it. Imagine that me, a retired sergeant, being accused of assault by a woman who weaponized an HOA clipboard like it was the law of the land. And, as if that wasn't enough, she picked up a rock and hurled it through my tractor's windshield while still yelling that I was the threat. That was the moment I knew this fight wasn't about dust or noise or neighborhood standards. It was about control, and Karen was ready to burn everything down to keep it. I should back up. My name's Wade Coburn. After 22 years in the Army, most of them overseas, I came home to the only land that ever felt like mine. Cornfields, a weathered barn, a little ranch house that still smelled faintly of cedar. My father had worked these fields, my brother had tried to keep them going, and when he couldn't, I bought back what was left. I didn't move home to sip coffee on porches and gossip about neighbors. I came back to rebuild what war and time had stripped away. And then there was Stone Creek Estates, a subdivision planted like beige weeds right along my fence line. Perfect lawns, manicured hedges, and a president named Karen Neater, who treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom. I met her 3 days after moving in. I was still in a worn-out t-shirt, coffee in hand, when her knock rattled my door. Not polite, commanding. She peered past me like she owned the place, introduced herself as HOA president, and told me about their visual covenants. Translation, my tractor was ugly. She wanted it gone. I laughed, told her this land wasn't Stone Creek's jurisdiction, never had been. 3 generations in my family zoned agricultural deed clear as day. She didn't like that answer. Within a week, I got a typed notice citing codes that didn't even apply to me. Then came a drone hovering over my barn snapping pictures, and suddenly my tractor appeared in the HOA's digital newsletter labeled Safety Concern. That was Karen always playing sheriff with rules she made up. I ignored her. I kept working. Repaired irrigation lines, planted, got the tractor running again. Every time she sent a letter, I tossed it. Every time she called the county, they walked the boundary with me and left, shaking their heads. But ignoring her didn't stop the pressure. Eggs splattered my mailbox one night. Neighbors started giving me that look, the kind that says they're scared to wave at you because Karen might be watching. And of course she was. Always driving by in her Lexus snapping photos like some HOA paparazzi. The harvest should have been my victory lap. Rows of golden corn, the tractor chugging steady sweat on my shirt, but pride in my chest. Then I saw her again, perched on a garden stool, dog tucked under one arm, phone in the other, shouting about dust and diesel fumes. "You're choking the whole neighborhood," she snapped. I told her this was farming legal the way it had always been. She went red, promised the HOA would deal with me, and stormed back inside. I brushed it off, but deep down I felt that the storm was building. She posted signs calling my land dangerous. She filed noise complaints code, complaints, health complaints. One morning, I found spray paint scrawled across my fence. Keep it quiet. My jaw locked. I'd been through war zones quieter than this. Still, I didn't retaliate. Instead, I installed more cameras painted over the graffiti and waited. But the longer it dragged on, the heavier it got. Neighbors whispered. The HOA's Facebook page called me a menace. I remember sitting at the kitchen table late one night, head in my hands, asking myself if maybe I was wrong. Maybe the fight wasn't worth it. Maybe selling off the last of my father's land would buy me peace. I hated myself for even thinking it, but the seed was there. Doubt. That's when I got a call from Angela Booker, an old friend turned deputy. She laughed when I told her what was happening. "Wade, this is the same woman who once called in a trespassing report on a Girl Scout selling cookies too close to her mailbox. Just keep your head. Document everything. Let her bury herself." Then Jeff Carson, my old buddy from high school, now a land use lawyer, told me the same thing. Stay calm, keep receipts, build a case. They both reminded me I wasn't powerless. And then Karen snapped. That afternoon, she floored her Lexus down the gravel easement road and rammed straight into the side of my tractor. Claimed I'd left it there to attack her. Dialed 911 screaming that I'd ambushed her with heavy machinery. Then she grabbed a rock and shattered the windshield for good measure. But here's the thing, my cameras caught it all, 3 angles crystal clear. When the police arrived, she played victim pointing, wailing, demanding, I be arrested. But Officer Cordell, who'd known me since he was a kid, kept his cool. I handed him a flash drive labeled time-stamped airtight. He didn't cuff me, he didn't lecture me, he just nodded and told Karen he'd review the evidence. For the first time, I saw panic flicker across her face. I thought maybe that would slow her down, but Karen didn't do slow. She doubled down, filed a lawsuit claiming emotional distress, defamation, endangerment of community integrity. I couldn't believe the words coming off that paper. Defamation, after she'd plastered my name all over newsletters and Facebook posts. Emotional distress. She was the one vandalizing my fence. But I didn't throw the complaint away. I walked it straight to Jeff. That's when we went on offense. I'd already dug through county records and discovered the HOA had no legal claim to the easement road, no jurisdiction over my land at all. Jeff found more Karen had been president 7 years without proper votes, siphoning off HOA dues with no receipts, signing checks to herself labeled administrative overhead. It was a slush fund dressed up as leadership. We compiled everything, photos, video, financial records, and I delivered copies to every household in Stone Creek. The neighborhood flipped. People who once glared at me now glared at her. Residents demanded audits, shouted about stolen money, asked why they'd never seen a budget. Within days, the board called an emergency meeting. Karen showed up in her red power suit lipstick, bright enough to blind, still barking about how I was destroying community standards. But when the board played the footage, her Lexus smashing metal, her rock cracking glass, her fake 911 call, there was silence. Then, Glenn Thompson, a board member with a spine for once, called the vote. Karen was out. Just like that. She tried one last gasp, dragging me to court swearing I was orchestrating a smear campaign. But the judge watched the video himself. Watched her lie, watched her vandalize, watched her spin fantasy into law. He dismissed her case with prejudice, ordered her to pay restitution for the tractor, my legal fees, and slapped fines on her for false reporting. Then, he referred the HOA's finances to a county auditor. It was over. Karen left the courthouse, stiff-backed cheeks burning red, ignoring reporters who asked if she still planned to lead her community. A week later, her house was up for sale. No goodbye barbecue, no final HOA rant, just a realtor's sign and a driveway gone cold. That's where the story ends. Not with me celebrating, not with neighbors cheering in my yard, but with Karen's power shattered, her kingdom dissolved. And me standing by my field watching the scarred tractor sit steady under the barn awning. She thought she could bend the truth with noise, with fear, with rules she invented on the spot. But the truth, backed by evidence, by persistence, outlasted her. And that's the lesson: no matter how loud someone screams, the facts don't buckle.